Hello, all you wonderful people out there. This is the host of the podcast that you are about to listen to. But before we get started, I want to ask you for a favor. I know many of you out there have already liked and shared this podcast on Facebook, and thank you very much for doing so, and please continue to do so. But let's not forget about another way to help this podcast grow, and that way is called word of mouth. That's right, before there was Facebook, there was something called word of mouth, and here's how that works. You listen to the show, then you tell a family member about the show, and then you tell a friend, then you tell a coworker, and then maybe you tell somebody that you go to church with. I really want to grow this show, and I will take all the help I can get. So thank you very much for listening, and now let's get the show started.
Cyberspace astronauts, are you ready to be entertained with pointless jibber jabber and senseless small talk? If so, then you have come to the right place. It's the Todd Cook Show, starring Todd Cook and featuring music by local and national artists. Now, broadcasting from his garage, here is Todd Cook.
Hi everybody. Welcome to episode 3-4. I am here, you are here, I am talking, you are listening. This is the Todd Cook Show. I am Todd Cook, and thank you very much for taking the time to listen to my podcast. Like I said, this is episode 3-4. That means season 3, episode 4 of the Todd Cook Show, and I got a great show planned for you today. I'm sure of it. I'm so sure, in fact, I just told you so. If I was not confident I had a good show, I would not tell you ahead of time it was going to be a good show because I would not want your expectations to be raised that high. But I am confident this is going to be a good show, and that's why I told you. All right, on this episode of the Todd Cook Show, I'm going to be talking about how cold it has been outside here in Kansas, and actually all the way across the entire country for the most part. Most places in the country right now, here in America, it's been cold for quite some time, and I'm not sure when it's going to break or if it ever will. It's something called winter, I believe, but it's kind of stretched its arms a little wider than it usually does, and it's been a little colder than it usually is. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that and how, I complain about it a lot. I know anybody who's listened to the show probably knows, or anybody that knows me personally knows I do not like cold weather. And so I've complained about it quite a bit, and it's gotten to the point now where I've actually been called a name once or twice. So I'm going to tell you about that. And then also I'm going to tell you about something that I've heard a lot about, but never actually experienced it myself or never actually seen it happen myself. But I've heard it on television shows and in children's storybooks, and it has to do with before you go to bed, something that some people might do. Heard it a million times, never witnessed it myself, and just wondering if it's actually something that happens on occasion or if it's just actually totally 100% made up. And also got music by Jeremiah Johnson coming up in just a moment. The song is called It Won't Be Long. You don't want to miss that. So here we go. Episode 3-4 of the Todd Cook Show is underway. Freezing cold outside. A little while back, we had like a week or maybe two where it got kind of cold, and then it got really cold, and then it warmed up again a little bit. But here in the past a week or two, it's just been freezing cold. We have a lot of snow here in Kansas, and I know all the way through the Midwest, everybody's pretty much snow covered. I'm here in Kansas. I have parents in Indiana. I have a sister in Kentucky, another sister in Connecticut, and we're all covered with snow. That tells you how much snow there is right now. Here in Kansas, all the way up to Indiana, Kentucky, and all the way on the eastern shore in Connecticut, covered with snow. And just really, really cold. We've had wind chills below zero, and I think a couple times the actual air temperature itself was below zero. So it's been cold, and I don't like it. I really, really, really do not like it. And because when it's that cold outside, it makes everything miserable. just some of the most simple things that you could do become that much more difficult, that much more dreadful than they would be. For example, I've got 3 kids, and we've got a little baby girl who just turned 4 months old, and we need diapers a lot. And it's a pretty frequent thing, that I'll come home from work, or at some point during the day on a Saturday or something, we realize we need diapers. Now, when the temperature is, nice and warm, it's a nice spring day, one of those very few rare nice days that you have in Kansas, because not only does it get freezing cold here, but during the summer it also gets hot. But anyway, during those very rare, really nice days, if my wife says, you know what, we need some diapers, I say, all right, let's go. I'd hop up, find the keys. I'd probably take my 3-year-old son who loves going anywhere, no matter where we're going. We tell him we're leaving. He's ready to go. I take him, and we'd go out to the car, and I'd put him in his car seat. I'd get in the van, and we'd go to the store, and once we got there, I'd take him out of the van and hold his hand, walk through the parking lot whistling, and go in and get diapers and come home. And not only would it not be a miserable experience, but it would be somewhat pleasurable. I know there's been times on those when it's really nice days, I've actually asked my wife, do we need anything? You want me to go somewhere? I'm inside the house. I want to go somewhere. I want to get out. I want to get out in the sunshine. I want to enjoy the weather. It's nice. But when it's cold, just going to get diapers is miserable. And we just had this happen not too long ago, where one of us realized that we needed diapers, or that we were getting low on diapers. But it's 10 degrees outside, and the wind is blowing, and the snow is falling. I don't want to go outside. I don't want to even walk from my front door to the van, and I don't want to walk from the van to the grocery store. Just that little bit is just horrific to me. Hate it. And it's so bad, in fact, that when we realized that we needed these diapers, or that we were getting low on diapers, instead of me just going and getting diapers, I started going around looking in the diaper bag and gathering up however many diapers I could find. Sometimes you find one that's got kind of left out on the changing table or on one of the shelves, and it's not in the diaper bag or the container, and you find a couple in the diaper bag itself, and you're like, oh, okay, we got 4 here, we're good for tonight. I'll go get some tomorrow, and maybe it'll be 12 degrees outside instead of 7, and that's how bad it is. I really hate doing it. And then other simple things like pumping gas. The other day you have to stop and get gas, and I don't know of any indoor gas stations. If there was one, that's a great invention. Somebody should come up with that right now. Take one of these old grocery stores that have been shut down. They got 10,000, 50,000 square feet, however big they are. They're like these really big, stores are empty. Turn them into indoor gas stations. And they say, well, what does it take? 2 or 3 minutes? You got to stand outside and pump gas? Yes, that's it. 2 or 3 minutes. And in that 2 or 3 minutes, I feel like I'm going to get frostbite. You say, well, wear gloves. Wearing gloves makes it very difficult to get your credit card out of your wallet and try to put the credit card into the gas pump and pull it back out and put it back in your wallet. And then, of course, most gas stations, at least around here, you want to save that extra 2 cents. You got another card, from the grocery store, your savings card, whatever they call it. You got to pull that out too, scan it, put it back in, and then you got to try to push the buttons on the gas pump. It can't be done with gloves. At some point, you got to take your gloves off. And then you're fumbling around, and it takes 5 seconds till my fingers are numb, and I can't work them any better than I could with the gloves on now because I can't feel anything. And I'm stumbling around, I end up dropping something in the snow, and bending down, I pick it up, and now it's wet, and now my hands are wet, and now I'm even colder. And even if I could do all this with gloves on, my face is still exposed, my eyelids will freeze shut. I hate it. And it just makes it very, very difficult. And I just don't understand why, when it's this cold, how people don't complain about it as much as I do. Because you should not have to risk getting frostbite just to pump gas. Is that reasonable? I mean, am I being unreasonable to say that going outside and pumping gas should not put you at risk for frostbite? That's all I'm saying. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in just a moment. But right now I'm going to take a short little break. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back on the other side of this break with more fun. Hey, all you Wichitonians, Wichitaians. Hey, everybody from the Wichita area. Have you ever had car problems? Have you ever slid into a ditch? Have you ever needed a tow? Don't waste your time looking for a tow company that you might not be able to trust. Call B&B Towing at 316-214-4021. It is a locally owned family business that can help you. So if you have a car that needs towed or repaired or both, call him. Or if you have a car in a ditch that needs a winch, call Cheyenne Brown at B&B Towing, 316-214-4021. He's a 20-year veteran of the United States Air Force. That's B&B Towing, 316-214-4021.
He thought the A team was pronounced the team. Todd Cook.
That is correct, I did. Somebody would have to go back and look at what year the A team came out. But I remember as a child, when they would do the promotion commercials for it, I would watch it and go, the team. That looks pretty neat. You know, they had the gun shooting and everything. It looked like a show a little boy would like quite a bit. But I thought it was the team there for quite some time. And I think one of my sisters corrected me. It's the A team. Oh, okay. All right. A little bit more about being cold in just a second. But also we got music by Jeremiah Johnson coming up. And then a bedtime routine that I have heard of that a lot of people do. But I've never actually experienced watching anybody do it. And so I'm going to ask if anybody out there has actually tried this before. Cold. Talked about it before the commercial. I'm going to continue talking about it now. And the reason, one of the reasons is I think it's okay to complain about the cold. Now, maybe I complain about it more than I should, but I think it's okay to complain about the cold. But however, other people must not, because I've gotten called a certain name several times just because I complain about it being cold. And what they say is, you're just a big wimp. I'll complain about how cold it was or how cold it is. I'll complain about how going to the grocery store or pumping gas was this miserable experience. And somebody eventually would say, oh, you're just a big wimp. You need to be tougher. That's what they say, tougher. Well, here's how I'm going to respond to that, folks. Listen, I'm not trying to climb Mount Everest, and I'm not trying to become a Navy SEAL. I'm just trying to pump gas, okay? And let me explain what I mean by that. If I was trying to climb Mount Everest, let's say I set out one day to make the trip over to Nepal and to climb Mount Everest. And let's say the plane landed in, what's the name of that weird named town? Kathmandu. I'm imagine to get to Mount Everest, maybe the nearest airport is Kathmandu. I could be wrong. I don't know. I know Kathmandu is somewhere near Mount Everest. But anyway, I say I land in Kathmandu, and as soon as I get off the airplane, oh, man, why is it so cold out here? This is horrible. This is freezing cold. And the other people that were going to climb Mount Everest with me, probably look at me like kind of strange. And then I say, a little bit later, we eventually get to the base camp, the first base camp, whatever the elevation is, 10,000 feet, I don't know. And all I'm doing is, oh, my God, it's cold. I can't believe how cold it is. Brr, I didn't know it was going to be this cold. Brr. And if I kept complaining like that as we're making our trek up Mount Everest, at some point, one of my fellow mountain climbers would look at me and say, shut up, you're being a wimp. You need to be tougher. And in that instance, they'd be right, because I'm trying to climb Mount Everest. And to climb Mount Everest is something that requires you to be tough. You can't be a wimp and climb Mount Everest. So I would understand that. I would understand being called a wimp if I was trying to do something I was trying to prove something to myself or prove something to somebody else or try to do something extraordinary, and I was complaining that it was cold. Yeah, call me a wimp. Wimps don't have any business trying to climb Mount Everest. That makes sense. Or if I was trying to become a Navy SEAL, and the first time they took me out to the beach, and got me stripped down to my skivvies, and it's cold, and all I did was start complaining about how cold it was. It wouldn't be long to one of the drill sergeants or chiefs, whatever they call them in the Navy, would be screaming at me, calling me a wimp, and probably other names that I can't say on this podcast. And they'd be right. I'm trying to become a Navy SEAL. Okay? I'm trying to train myself to be able to go into harsh environments, harsh territories where people are going to be shooting at me and try to accomplish something. if you're going to do that, you can't be a wimp. But I'm not trying to climb Mount Everest. I'm not trying to become a Navy SEAL. I just want to pump gas. Do I have to be tough to pump gas? And I think if you do have to be tough to pump gas, then something needs to change. It's okay to, it's like if brushing my teeth was like this, the toothpaste or the toothbrush, weighed 50 pounds and I had to like hold it up to my mouth and I think if anybody had to do that, if their toothbrush was that heavy and it caused that much of a strain and that much of an agony to brush your teeth, I think everybody would complain. And thus I complain when like I said, I'm not trying to climb Mount Everest. I'm not trying to do anything that's noble. I'm not trying to do anything that should require toughness. I just want to pump gas, and it hurts. So please don't call me a wimp. You can call me a wimp if you want. It won't hurt my feelings that bad because I know that you're misguided. I just want to pump gas. I don't want to have to be in agony to do simple things in life. And that's why I don't like this weather. It's too cold, and it's been too cold for too long. And I'm going to complain about it. I'll try not to complain as much as I normally do, but I'm still going to complain about it. And it's okay. Just don't call me a wimp. All right, let's listen to some music by Jeremiah Johnson. This is a guy that I haven't yet listened to live, but I'm sure I would enjoy him very much. And if I ever get a chance to hear him here in the Wichita area, I would definitely want to try to go. But here's Jeremiah Johnson with It Won't Be Long on the Todd Cook Show.
I've covered up so many lies, no one covers up mine. I've stared into eyes that would rather kill than give me the time. I've seen the grass on the windswept plain, on the breeze I hear your name coming through like an old familiar song, and I swear it won't be long. I haven't seen those mountain tops, haven't seen those old truck stops. I guess it's somewhere along the way thought I had something to say. A simple task, too much to ask, and too meaningless to last. And you know me, I'm always wrong, but I swear it won't be long. Fragments of dreams not yet remembered, just a tally of debts that through my life I've incurred. Not a single one ever brought me closer to gone. It's been 10 long years and I swear it won't be long. It won't be long now. I've taken out and put it back so many times I don't know what I own. Behind the saddest eyes you'll find a soul left out all alone. But life pays in wisdom and in time. You find the reason in rhyme. So trust your heart, it's seldom wrong. And just know it won't be long. It won't be long now. No, it won't be long now.
That was Jeremiah Johnson with It Won't Be Long on the Todd Cook Show. Look Jeremiah Johnson up on Facebook sometime. I'm sure you'll enjoy all of his music. He's really good. Just remember, Johnson is spelled Johnssen, not S-O-N. Jeremiah Johnson with It Won't Be Long on the Todd Cook Show. I'm going to take another short little break. Don't go anywhere, folks. I got more show coming up right after this. It is 2014, folks, and computers have taken over the world. Well, not really, but they are everywhere. And if you're a business owner, you know how computers can enhance your ability to operate your business. But most likely, you're also familiar with how difficult it can be trying to manage your computer network. Are you having some trouble in the IT department and you need some help? Well, if you live in the Warsaw, Indiana area, you are in luck. Just get whacked. WACD can help. Just go to wacdllc.com and find out how. They can help with network installation, maintenance, security, and more. And they don't just help businesses, they can help anybody. WACD can even help with hardware and software sales and services. And believe it or not, they can help you with many issues even if you don't live anywhere near the Warsaw, Indiana area. As long as you have an internet connection, they can help you fix your computer or install new software remotely. They could even set you up with a brand new PC or Mac. So whether you're a business or an individual, get whacked today. WACDLLC.com. That's WACDLLC.com.
He thought the TV show ER was pronounced Todd Cook.
That is true as well. Now we could go back and figure out when ER originally aired and figure out how old I was then. I'm pretty sure I was considerably older than I was when the A-Team came out. As a little kid, it's probably okay to look at something on the TV screen and think that it's the A-Team when it's actually the A-Team. But I was probably a teenager when ER came out, or pretty close, I would imagine. And to look at that and think that it was and not ER. But see, it wasn't like it had, a big capital letter E period, capital R period, where I knew it was an acronym or an abbreviation for something. They had those two little lowercase E and a lowercase R. And I just remember watching this like a promo commercial and thinking, why would they name a show And at some point, I realized I saw all the doctors and everything that was going on. I was like, oh, ER. I got it. All right. The Todd Cook Show at gmail.com is my email address. And I'm sure everybody out there agrees with me on what I talked about in the last segment, right? I should not have to man up to be able to go out and pump gas, right? Right? I think that's okay. I could be the wimpiest person on the earth, and pumping gas should still be easy for me. So don't call me a wimp just because I think it's too cold. All right, we're going to finish up the show talking about this little bedtime routine that some people might do. I've heard it, like I said, on television shows multiple times. My wife and I just heard this a few moments ago upstairs on a cartoon, which is what made me want to think about this and talk about this on this show. We were watching this cartoon upstairs, and there was a little kid that was going to bed, and his mommy came to his bedside and gave him a glass of what? Warm milk to drink. Now, we've all heard that before. You drink a glass of warm milk before you go to bed. It'll help you sleep. Maybe they do this in England. Maybe it's other parts of the world where it's more common. I've lived here in the United States my entire life. I cannot remember one person ever making themselves a glass of warm milk. Now, I kind of have a vague memory of, when I was a child that maybe my mom might have heated some milk up for me when I was really young, just as for whatever reason. Maybe I saw it on a TV show or a cartoon and I wanted to try it. But I really don't have any recollection of that for sure at all. Does anybody do that? You see it all the time on movies and TV shows and cartoons. You read about it in books all the time. Before somebody goes to bed to help them sleep, they drink a glass of warm milk. Sounds kind of gross to me. How can it be that this is so common on TV shows and movies and books? How can it be so common, but yet I've never experienced it once? I don't know anybody who's ever done it. I asked my wife, have you ever drank a glass of warm milk before you went to bed? She said, no, me neither. I don't think either of my sisters have. I don't know. Maybe it was something that happened a long time ago, or maybe it's something that happens more commonly, like I said, overseas. I know in England and in other countries, obviously, they got different kind of foods and things that they drink that to us would be really bizarre and weird. I know in England, one of the things they do are soft-boiled eggs. We here in America have a hard-boiled egg. they'll do a soft-boiled egg to where they'll cook it, just like we would, boil them, but they'll take them out before they're completely done. And it's very common. They'll cut the top of the egg off, and the kids will take their toast and dip it into that soft, gooey egg center. Now, that's not too bizarre because, we have eggs here, over easy. You like them a little soft, a little runny, as I like to say. You use your toast to dip it up and eat it, and it's fine. But in England, they actually do a soft-boiled egg, very common for kids, and they cut the top of the egg off, and they have that little, the egg makes like a little bowl, so they can just dip their. They even have these little holders that they put the eggs in, so that they can dip their toast inside that egg, that soft-boiled egg. So there are a lot of things that in different countries they do that are quite a bit different than what we do here in America. But I don't know anybody who drinks warm milk at any point in their day, especially right before bedtime. But yet you hear about it all the time. So I'm just wondering if anybody out there has ever had hot milk or warm milk before they go to bed. I think it would be gross. Even just room temperature milk would be kind of gross. But I guess it's either got to be hot or it's got to be cold. You can't have room temperature milk. I don't think anybody really like that. But it just seems really bizarre to me. And like I said, kind of gross. And one thing, too, somebody hands you a glass of milk and you think it's cold and you drink it and it's hot milk, even if you're somebody that likes hot milk, it'd be a surprise. You drink it, whoa, boy, that's warm milk. It'd have to be quite a bit different. So you'd have to tell them ahead of time that this is a warm glass of milk here. So, I was just wondering about that. Just saw it on a cartoon, heard about it a million times. I don't think it actually ever happens. I don't know if anybody who drinks a glass of warm milk before they go to bed. It's supposed to help you sleep. Maybe it does. You get any warm liquid in your tummy. Might slow your tummy down a little bit and maybe help you rest. But nothing I've ever done. I don't plan on ever doing it with my kids. I've never had any of my kids ask me for warm milk. I guess if they did, I might consider it. But to me, it seems like warm milk, that means it's went bad, right? I'm not sure exactly how it would taste. You have to have a little chocolate in there or something, right? I guess you have cocoa. That's kind of what warm milk is. If you, you can get the instant cocoa where it's a powder or whatever. But I guess technically to make homemade real hot chocolate, you use milk and chocolate, real chocolate, and you mix it however you do it, cream, I don't know what you do, and make hot chocolate. So I guess that would be technically warm milk. And that sounds good to me. But just plain warm milk? I think I'd rather take a sleeping pill or some NyQuil or Benadryl or something to help me sleep. I don't want to drink warm milk. And it would probably get a little skim on there if you don't drink all of it. On top, I know for like recipes and stuff, on the stovetop, you pour some milk and you got to heat it up and stir it. And it can get this little film on there and stuff. I just can't imagine drinking that. But apparently somebody out there does. And apparently people have been doing it for years because I've heard about it a lot, but never seen it happen. All right, I think that's the end of the Todd Cook Show, this episode here. But remember, folks, if you come back next week, I'll be here again, and I'll be talking about more nonsense and more senseless small talk than you've ever heard before in your life, all in one show. So tune in next time, and I'll talk. You listen.